Hi guys. Welcome to day number 11 of the Strong, Healthy and Empowered You Bootcamp. We're taking this down for take number 2 with Mandy Perry. Guys, I'm really excited. Again, if you are joining on the replay, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. So those of you catching on the replay, I just want to say with all of my heart, with all of my soul, with all of my body, I just want to thank you so much for being here and for being a part of this beautiful summit. And we've got Mandy Perry on with us today. So she is popping on. We've got headphones in, and I'm hoping that technology will be on our side today. If you are joining us, let us know that you are here. And if you're catching on the replay, let's drop a hashtag she in the comments. I'm crossing my fingers. Everyone cross your toes. Let's get Mandy online with us. It says adding Mandy. Technology. What's going on? Let's see. Here we go. Welcome to the online summit. Hello, gorgeous. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
We are
Okay.
rocking and rolling. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We are very excited to have you. And guys, Mandy is, and now my laptop is a little bit slow, but Mandy is a mum of a little girl as well. And you're a high performance coach helping women to live a life that is full and really chasing a business as well, right? That feels really great for them.
Yes.
Have we got a lag?
I don't know.
Perfect.
I can hear you good.
So
I'm good over here.
Mandy's going to share a little bit about her
You good there?
story,
Okay.
and then she's going to take it away and actually teach you guys something incredible today. So grab your pens, grab some paper, and I'm going to let Mandy take it away. If you've got questions throughout, pop them below, and we can either dive into them as she's talking, or we'll hold them till the end.
Yes. Yeah, ask away. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. I feel like a lot of value
Absolutely.
comes from asking questions as well. So thank you, sister. This has been so incredible. What a bunch of powerhouses in here.
It's been amazing.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, high
it's
five
been
from
amazing.
over here. Yes. Yeah, okay. So what I'm hearing is that people are really curious about my story, which I'll tell you the truth. When I first started, I had no idea how unusual my story was. I just thought that's just what you do in this field and that's normal and that's what everybody else's experience was. So now that I've been doing it for a little while, there's a little less naivety. I have a little bit of seasoning and I can understand. So, a really long story made short is, what is it, 3.5 years ago, I was a mom on welfare. And I was a mom for many years, making $400 a week as a nanny. And I was going to school in the back end, went to school for like 10 years, didn't get a degree because I was still searching everything, but went to school for like 10 years. So I started out as a health coach, and then right from like I was working as a nanny, and then just started doing that on the side. And then I did really well as a health coach. I was getting clients and doing well, and sort of my peers came to me and were like, "How are you doing this? Like how are you getting clients?" So I was like, "I don't know. What's the difference between what you're doing and what I'm doing? Let's sit down." So I just sat down with them and I just went over stuff, and I started seeing these same patterns and the same things happening, and I was like, "Oh, this is a thing." And then I started helping them. They started making money right away. And then the name just sort of got out and I started helping more people. And that turned into my coaching business, around supporting people around boundaries and mindset and wealth and building their actual business. So that was a big part of how that went. And it really was just helping my friends. That's how the whole thing started. So that first year in the business, including the health coaching I had done and then transitioning into supporting my friends and, just teaching people how to make money as a coach, what to do and not to do based on what had been working for me. That first year was 380K, which I had no idea was so unheard of. No clue. I didn't know. Yeah. And then the second year came in at 500,000, so only year 2. And this was no email list. This was no networking systems. I was literally ground zero. I had no business background. I knew nothing about running businesses or companies. I knew nothing. I was a waitress and a nanny and a mom. So yeah, it was pretty incredible. So, and now I realize, and the business is still scaling to this day.
What was the turning point for you? Because so you lent into coaching, but what was the turning point where everything started to take off?
So here's the thing, and it's literally since the very start of my business, I have always had an overflow of clients, which also I recognize now is very unusual. So what I did was I really took time to be like, okay, just like I did in the beginning with my friends who weren't making money, but I was like, okay, what's different? What am I doing different? How do I think differently? Like just what's different? I sort of looked back and also scanned through like why have I always had an overflow of clients right from
Mm-hmm.
the very beginning and other people struggle so much? And it's one of the biggest questions people have, like how did you do that, Minnie, right? So I took the time and spent the time to break that down and to understand what was the difference between me and other people. And the first thing I recognized was I had this intrinsic attitude of like, the clients exist, they exist. There's no shortage of clients. And this whole like, well, people in my town won't afford it, or people in my niche can't afford it, or they won't invest, or my clients are woo and they can't ground enough to do this, or all these things that we come up with as to why it's not working is complete bullshit. None of that's real. Everybody thinks it. Basically, every client I ever had said the same thing in the beginning. They all felt the same way in the beginning, but it's not real. So intrinsically, there was really this knowing that the clients exist and I'm doing this
Yes.
until. Not like I'm going to see what happens. Not so when I like other people would launch a group, they would be like, well, I tried and I did this. But my mindset was really, I'm doing this until. So if I start a group, I'm launching that group will run
Yes.
and there will be people in the group. End of story. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
needed to happen for that to happen happened. So in the beginning, maybe I threw in some free spots, or maybe I gave my one-on-one clients some positions in the group, or maybe I did a free giveaway, or I just would allow myself to be creative and
Yeah.
really explore outside the box, whatever that would look like. And I would allow creativity to come up because my mindset was, this is happening. They're out there. I'm doing it until, which is very, very, very different than to this day clients that come to me, even very high level, people that are coming to me still have that mindset of like, well, I tried, or I'm going to see what happens, etc.
It,
versus like, I'm doing this until. So looking
so
back,
it's
that was a huge one.
it's not like people don't have the attitude of even when, like even when this happens or this happens, I'm going to continue on. Even when this happens, I'm going to continue on. But that was kind of your attitude.
Yeah, it was, I think, in slight, it was born out of naivety. Like, I remember even in the Marine Corps, so I was a Marine, and when I was in the Marine Corps, I got expert on the rifle range, and my older brother didn't. And I laughed and made fun of him because he grew up shooting guns and I didn't. So what I learned to recognize was there wasn't this innate thing inside of me like, oh, I have to do this certain level, or this is going to be hard, because it was just kind of like, oh, I'm just doing this until. And it was just a standard that like, it was
Mm-hmm.
just how I believed and how I showed up. And I recognized that that was something that was very different between me and a lot of the people that were struggling. And not even when this happens, but this will happen. Life will happen. Shit will happen. You will get scared. You will get freaked out. People will make comments. You will fail at stuff. You will be messy. You will get embarrassed. You will cry yourself to sleep sometimes. That shit's going to happen. And we're still following through. End of story.
I
Because
love
the
that.
clients
So,
exist.
so you wanted to actually talk a little bit about
Yeah.
having an overflow of clients today.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. That was one of them, right? So like really coming from that place of understanding that the client exists and doing it until, meaning like if you're launching something and it's like the night before and nobody joined, you're launching harder. You're throwing everything at it. You're going to continue going, right? Like whatever it is, you're going to continue going, and you're not just going to keep repeating the same things over and over and throwing stuff at the wall. You're going to like literally sit down, be mindful, intentional, and put your best into it and do it with excellence. So that was a big part of the first piece. The second piece that I've looked at going back that has created consistent overflow of clients for me always is giving until it triggers me,
Oh.
literally. Like, meaning like, let's say here's like a really vulnerable example. Let's say I invest $25,000 in a program and I learned something really incredible in that program. And, it was really like transformational or life-changing for me, or really helped me to make a lot of money. And I'm running a $2,000 program. I'm telling them that
Yeah.
thing in the $2,000 program. Like I'm literally going to give until it triggers me. I'm going to give everything I have in this moment. I'm going to give you everything that I have in this moment, and know that on the other side of it, what I see a lot of people doing is, well, but if I do this on a Facebook Live, then what am I going to say in my paid program? Or if I say this in my paid program, what am I going to do in my high level programs? Or, if I give this away now, how am I going to have more to say later? Or they'll hold back and be like, no, that's too good. I'm going to save that for a program. And what I learned really fast was like, no, 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 it's the exact opposite. You show up and give everything you have to give here. And on the other side of giving that, you have expanded. On the other side of that, they have expanded, and both of us are going to the next level, and we're doing this shit together, right? It's not like holding back and like none of that is real. It's really like, and honestly, until it triggers me, like I'm triggered, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling this, or I can't believe I'm giving this away, or I can't believe I'm doing the behind the scenes on this. So a big part of it was always, wow, love that big, like love big enough to give everything I have to give in the moment. So for your
clients who are in that space where you're, because you're obviously encouraging them and coaching your clients to do this, how do you help them get over the block and that resistance of actually sharing that magic that they feel is for the women who are potentially paying them?
Versus holding back because they want to hold it off for later? Well, it's by actually understanding what happens in the moment when you really give everything you have to give all of the time. Like the fastest way, okay, here's another example. Like AA, most people are familiar with what happens on the back. I've never been in AA, like part of it. I just want to throw that out there because I don't want to pretend to know as an expert, but I'm familiar with it, right? Like I've heard of it. I've had many friends that have gone through it. So what I know of it is that one of the ways that they heal and stay sober is by helping other people. That is how you stay sober. By you bring the message to other people, you support other people. It's the same thing that's happening. When I'm showing up and I'm giving literally everything I have to give you right now, it's on a faith and it's on an understanding that on the other side of me giving that to you, I have now just expanded to the next level. And so did they. And we did that together. We moved to the next level. And now we're both ready for whatever the next level is. So when we're holding off and holding back, it's like we're pushing off whatever the next level is that we're taking in. So you will never grow as fast as when you are showing up and you're giving everything you have to give in the moment, not worrying about, but this was only cost this much and this only cost that much. The price that you get to increase your price based on how close they get to be in your energy. It has nothing to do with what you're sharing and what your message is. It has everything to do with you have this much access to me, therefore it's more expensive.
I see. Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Makes sense?
It's so...
So like how exciting is it to think in that moment you're going to grow the fastest you could ever grow? That's pretty motivating to share everything.
Absolutely.
You have to share,
and it's
even
almost
if you're
encouraging. Like I think that's one of the things, like it's really encouraging to know that and hear that from someone like yourself, and to say, okay, well, if I give all that I have, because I definitely know, like for me, I do hold back. I keep some of my stuff. I keep it for my clients so that I'm giving them all of the magic and I don't share it all.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you will love the experience of giving yourself that level of freedom and permission without worried about how it's like just completely trusting the process and knowing that it's just an act of love, right? It's an act of love for me to sit here and be patient and quiet and really listen to someone the way I want to be listened to. It's an act of love for me to, trust that everything will turn out for my children how it's meant to turn out while I let them be who they are and not who I think they should be. All of these things are just acts of faith and acts of love. It's uncomfortable for us to show up and give everything and then be like, I don't know what I'm going to have to give later. But you trust and know that on the other side of loving that big, only good things can happen. Only expansion happens.
Yeah. So when you were starting to grow your business, you mentioned in the first year that you didn't have websites or any of that kind of stuff happening. So were you just in the online space in terms of social media, Instagram? Like what were you using? Facebook Lives. And so you were doing live training.
It was Facebook Live.
All of the things, just sharing all of your magic via that platform.
If you had any idea how simple to this very day I keep my business, like there is nothing fancy. The only reason I have a membership site is because I have someone on the team who knows how to do it and she handles the whole membership area. I have nothing to do with it. Everything, like my first group that I ever ran, it was just a private Facebook group, and it had a Google Doc at the top, and the doc had like the links for them to click on the things. That was my membership site. It was a Google Doc. They could have shared that Google Doc with anyone, but I didn't care. If they're going to share it, they're going to share it. You know what I mean? Like I just trusted my people and I just didn't get caught up in all that stuff. To this very day, my stuff that I create is like a selfie from my iPhone made on Canva. That's like there's nothing complicated or fancy. I just show up and I'm truly myself. I give myself permission to be myself, and I give everything I have to give in the moment. And I come from a space of like, I'm doing this until, like, I'm really doing this until. And I think a big part of it as well is I really have an energy of understanding and knowing, like, in this group, I think it's so incredible. There are people who are showing up and teaching in this group who have been mentors of mine. There are people who have been peers of mine in other groups, and there are people who have been clients of mine. And I just think it's so beautiful. Like, it's so incredible how we're just like, we're all complete equals who just have different timing in different areas with different things. And that's it. Yeah. So when you see it that way, it's easy to overgive.
Isn't that beautiful? Because I know that, you know, some of the mentors in here now, like they have clients who were speaking as well. It's like this beautiful energy exchange that's just ever flowing. Love it.
Love it.
Laurie's got a question. How did you get so brave? Your energy is crazy contagious. Believe in your magnetizing, giving, and receiving.
Well, your why is a really, really big deal. And I'm not going to lie, keeping a clear why has been a challenge for me. It's not just been like, oh, this is super easy, I know my why. In the beginning it was, how do I friggin' put food on the table for my children? And I'll be damned if one of my children will go through a motherfucking welfare line. Like, that was like so inside of me. Like, my child will never know what the shame or the fear of being a woman in an environment like that, of going through a welfare line. I'm very proud of myself. I love that I showed up for my family that way. And I used every penny of everything I got to like really grow and expand to the next level. And I think every woman should take advantage of every resource that she has to get to the next level. And I also feel like I also am going to show up on a planet where my job is to show up and help support people to not have to have that experience as well. So my why was really clear in the beginning. And, you know, but as soon as it wasn't survival mode anymore and the needs were met, it was like, okay, now what? Why would I keep going? And I'm going to share this. And I feel like this is so valuable and may or may not resonate with people. You know your why, and you show up and set a goal that backs your why. So basically, I don't agree with having a money goal unless it's allocated to something that really matters to you. Like an arbitrary goal just because that's what everyone else is doing, I feel like is a bit neurotic. Like it doesn't feel good. It feels like I'm just going to do this endlessly forever. Like, what am I just going to keep on going to that next level? And like, it never stops. And where does it end? And where is my freedom? And what is that happy place that I go to? So really having the discipline to sit down and lock in, why are you wanting to make the 50K months? Why are you wanting to make the 10K months? Why are you wanting to hit the 100K months? Whatever the number is, like, why? Is it just because? Or is it because, like, have you locked in, like, this thing, this life, this experience, this way I'm able to give or support my clients or family, or the stuff that I want to have, these experiences I want to have? There's nothing off limits, but it has to matter to you. Because if it doesn't, you are not going to show up. And the moment when your nervous system is freaking out and telling you, like, whatever you did yesterday and the day before is the only thing you should be doing, because my job is to keep you alive, not to make you happy. Your brain's job is not actually to make you happy, it's to keep you alive. So it'll do whatever is required to keep you alive. And so there's going to come a moment when it's all coming at you and like it's time for you to show up, and you are not going to if you're not rooted into, I'm doing it for this purpose, for this experience, for this reason. And it has to be something you want, not something someone else said you should want, not what you used to want yesterday before you showed up and gave everything you had to give and expanded, not what your parents think you should have, not what makes your children happy, what you actually want. And when you want something, you're going to get it.
For
That's
those
just how
women who can't imagine that yet. So you threw out some big numbers just then talking about in terms of like monetary goals. You know, if they can't stretch themselves like into that, what's your advice to help connect with the next level? Is it the experiences that obviously then the next level income bracket will help to support for them? Or do you have some tips or advice on that?
Great question. I really love that question, because this is like so near and dear to my heart right now, because I see an entire industry of people just picking arbitrary numbers and striving to get there and not enjoying their experience. And it hurts me. Like, that's not the point. It's not the point. The point is to actually have fun and love your life and to feel fulfilled, right? So what I recommend is writing out what feels like fulfillment to you. What does that look like? What do you have? What do you experience? What are the day-to-day emotions you have? What are you doing with your children or with your loved ones, or where are you traveling, or what kind of things do you have that actually mean something to you? Not, I'm going to buy a Mercedes because it makes me look accomplished. You're not going to, that is not going to matter one iota to you. When you're 95 looking back, you're not going to remember the freaking Mercedes. Nobody cares, and you don't either. What you care about is the experience of life. Do you get to have the Mercedes if that feels super exciting and good? Hell yes, of course, if that feels good. But it has to actually matter to you and mean something to you, and not get caught up in this all this side bullshit. So what I recommend is writing out, this is what I want my life to look like, and then get like, what would this look like? What is the cost of this? What does it actually cost to have a cleaner come clean at your house? What does it cost to have your first assistant for 4 hours a week? What does it cost to have the furniture that you want in your living room or in your new office where you work, whatever it is? Like, you write this out and look at what that looks like, and that is your number. And then as you reach that number, what happens is, let's say the first number we'll use 10K months. That's pretty frequent for most people, right? So like 10K months, if that's what I want to hit, I've allocated it. I see that, like, maybe it would be 9K because you really did it out. So 9K months, that's what I'm looking to do. What will happen is, in that first month, because you've locked in why and you're really clear and you're showing up to back it because that's the life you want, you'll make that in 4 weeks. And then maybe the next month you make it in 3 weeks. And then maybe the next month you make it in 2 weeks. And all of a sudden that number's increasing. And you're now, okay, but you've already started shifting to what's the next thing you want. And if you start to plateau, what happened was the number got arbitrary and it's not allocated to something that matters to you. That's what happens.
Yeah.
There's no why behind it. You're like, why would I show up and do this? And I don't need to. Everything's fine.
That is
yeah.
so
So
true.
that's how I recommend doing
it. I see even clients of my own, they say they want something, but they're so safe and they haven't really made that leap yet and that full connection or embodiment of what it is that they ultimately want. And they are just safe where they are. So there's no need for them to actually move.
And I feel like that's part of being having a mentor or being part of a community like the girls in my mastermind, right? Like, you get to see, because sometimes you're like, I don't know what else I would want. Like, I don't even know what else would matter to me enough to show up and make that level of income. So you get around other people and experiences, and all of a sudden it opens doors like, oh, that person is literally building schools in Africa for the children over there. Or this person has, supported all these mothers who have this going, whatever's a purpose on your heart. And it doesn't even have to be something like that. It could literally be like tipping waitresses really well every time you go out to eat. It's whatever really genuinely feels good for you. But when you get around other people that are thriving to that level, you're going to start generating ideas and you're going to start feeling that another level of experience. And that supports you in being able to build that dream. When you're kind of left to your own devices in your own world, and I'm going to say this bluntly because I love you and I think that's the way we should talk. When you're around a bunch of regular people doing regular things with no real vision or dream, and they just sort of accepted that this is how life is meant to be for them, it's going to be hard for you to visualize what the next stuff is. You got to get around the energy of other people that are going there and are living there, and where that flow of that energy and that excitement and that limitlessness, but that's locked.
And what would you say to the women, and there are a few questions popping up, but I really want to ask them, what would you say to the women who feel triggered when they see other women earning such big numbers, and they're like, how is that? Like, I actually am so triggered by that. Instead of coming at it from a perspective of, if she can, I can, it's a perspective of like, maybe I want to say like kind of disdain or even anger towards that person. They're not leaning into that.
Oh yeah.
If she can, I can. Yeah.
I felt it before. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So, okay, we're going to talk more blunt, okay? We're doing this together, right? So we're putting on our big girl panties here. When I went through that season, what I realized, it's entitlement. Like, what I'm feeling is that I should be able to have that without doing the level of work that person did to have it. It's really just entitlement. And I don't know, maybe it comes from our childhood. Maybe it comes from, if we don't have good boundaries and other people are sort of draining us, there's a sense of like, I'm owed something, you know what I mean? So if you keep over giving to your family and not taking the time you need for your own stuff, you're going to resent other people that are thriving. It's part of it's going to be there, but it really is entitlement. Like, okay, when you feel that ping, there's a resonance because you know damn well if you shifted and you showed up differently, you would have that same result. That's the pain you're feeling. But it's good and it's exciting because it's like I'm resonating with that result right there. But I know when I look at my life, I'm not showing up in integrity with that vision I have for myself. So instead of reflecting something, it's like, okay, I'm going to stop being entitled right now. And like either like, okay, Mandy, let's have a real conversation with yourself. Are you willing to do what it takes to have that or not? Because we're not going to sit here in this crappy energy. Either you're going to shift out of entitlement and you're going to show up and you're going to back yourself and get into integrity with yourself, or you're not and you're going to let that go. Either one is fine. Literally, there's no one saying you should or have to reach that. If you don't want to, don't. But you're going to get really clear what you actually want, and then you're going to back that and get into integrity because life is really short and it feels good to be in integrity and it feels like shit to be out of it. So we're shifting that shit
I
right
love
now,
that
but
you
it
just
is
said that. I
entitlement.
just listened to a podcast recently, a couple of days ago, maybe even last week now, and they were talking about entitlement and how it can really create a block between you and what it is that you want. So I love it that you've just really anchored and cemented that in for me. There are a few questions popping up. Let me go back and answer here. Jen's saying it's hard to get over the anxiety of safety. Are there any tips for that? So staying safe and then not moving.
Okay, so this is just the one that everybody knows and everybody ignores. Are you ready? I'm going to say the thing you've heard a million times, but hopefully because I'm pointing out to all of us together that this is the shit we all ignore, and then we wonder why we're not getting the results we want. This is just basic neuroscience, right? Your nervous system is wired how it's wired, and the work is the work. You're energetically set at whatever you're set at, okay? So if you want to shift into a next level, then you're going to have to visualize and write out and journal feeling that next level, so that whatever thing you're anxious about or nervous about, you're rewriting that nervous, like in your body, you're rewriting it. So if you've played something out over and over and over and it turned out amazing every time in your head, your nervous system gets on board with that new vision, right? So here's one of the examples. I'll give you guys a tip. Let's say you created your first online group program and you're so excited about it and you want to charge $3,000 for, the 12-week online program. But you're like, I don't know, like $3,000 seems like so much. I don't want to do it for any less, but I'm not sure I'll be able to sell it at that. So what I say is, great, take that $3,000 program and write out a $6,000 program. Literally put everything in that program that you would feel like this is a $6,000 program, and then sell it for $3,000. It's like a way of getting your nervous system, when your nervous system is starting to get on board with $6,000, it's going to be on board with $3,000. And it just like shifts that needle in that dial. Yeah. But you can do that with anything in your life. You just visualize it and you call it in, and you have to feel it and sense it and have experienced it a few times. The brain doesn't know the difference between an actual experience or something you visualized. So then your nervous system backs it up. So if you're nervous because you haven't done the work to visualize that and get your nervous system on board with it, that's it. So it's that simple.
In terms of that, like what kind of things would you encourage a woman like to be shifting and moving the needle into the next level? So around journaling, what kind of good questions would you encourage to help shift that needle?
So there's a couple different ways. Yeah, there's a couple different ways I journal. One is literally like writing out. Most people have no idea what they want. Just not a freaking clue what they want. They don't know. And you know what? It is annoying. It's annoying. It is. It is what it is, right? We're not going to be entitled. Just because it's annoying doesn't mean we're not going to show up and do the work, right? So we sit down and we get really clear, like, no, this is what I want my life to look like. I remember when I was first doing this, I visualized what I want my life to look like. And by the end of it, I was like, that is so boring. Like, I don't want my life to look like that. Like, I'm riding bikes around and I'm doing all, and I was like, what is missing? I was like, adrenaline. No, I want to be like skydiving and cliff jumping. And I was like, yeah, I'm missing a lot of fun shit in here. So then I redid it again, and I redid it again, and I redid it again until it started to mean something to me, till I felt that fire starting to come up in me again. And it was something like, no, this is the prompt I give my clients. Well, Mandy, if it could be like that, then I would show up and do it. Well, if I could have it like that, then I would do it. Well, what is that? If you could have it like what, then you would show up and do that. If I could have it like that, then if it would be like that, then I would do the Facebook Lives every day. If it could be like that, then I would launch my program. Well, what's that? So one of the ways that I journal is just writing that out. What am I visualizing? What am I calling in? What do my new clients look like? How does this group program go? What are the testimonials that your client leaves you? What if you wrote out the testimonials ahead of time of what their experience was and lock that into your nervous system, right? So it's just like visualizing this newness that you haven't experienced yet. And then one of the other ways is I'll just get really clear, like, how do I feel, right? Like, I'm just feeling anxious, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling, yeah, anxious and frustrated. Okay, what am I feeling anxious and frustrated about? And I'll write those out. And then whatever the story is that I'm feeling anxious or frustrated about, let's say it's, something about leaving my kids if I'm going to run a retreat in Bali or something, right? I'm off for 3 weeks, I'm going to be gone, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling like a bad mom, I'm feeling like, okay, what is the stories that's playing in my head? I'm a bad mom if I'm not with my kids all the time. Do I really believe that? I'm 95, I'm looking back. What mattered to me, what didn't? Am I a bad mom if I'm not always with my kids? No, I don't actually believe I'm there's not a time, there's not like a square exchange.
Yeah.
Something doesn't take away from another. So as I'm expanding as a human being on the planet, I'm bringing all of that energy and awareness to my children, whom I'm going to lock in and love the way they need to be loved, instead of giving them mass amounts of time of half-ass attention, which is what most moms are doing. I'm going to literally deeply connect with them, and I'm going to become the expansive woman who brings
I
that to the
love
table.
this. Can you expand on growing a business and also growing babies? Because I know that there are a lot of women who are also moms who struggle with the guilt to go all in on their business and
Yeah.
now I'm a bad mom, I'm not spending enough time with my kids, I'm investing in myself, I'm taking away money for the kids. Like, could you talk a little bit about
Mhm.
that and how your story has kind of evolved through your own growth?
So, yes, I mean, I would say out of all the things I experienced, the most pain was going through that transition of how I think around being a mom. And if I'm being really blunt, like, so my son Calvin is 17, and then I have a daughter Bailey who's 9. And um, if I'm just saying it really bluntly, what I noticed, because I grew up very poor, I was a very poor mom. I was very much in a, poor, like my friends were poor, other poor moms. Like we just sort of congregate together because that's what you feel comfortable in. And what I noticed is in the poor mindset, and I'm not saying this is true for everyone, and I'm not saying if it is integrity with someone, it should be different. What I'm saying in general, around the poor community is this story in our head that it's all about how
Mhm.
much time we spend with our children. And in the wealthy circles and community, it's all about the depth and the quality of time that we spend with our people. And in general, I just noticed like this is very different when I shifted from, because it was so rapid for me that I was able to really see these strange things happening. Like, oh, most wealthy people think that poor people are lazy. Most poor people think that wealthy people are shallow and superficial. And I'm like, there's this weird stuff going on. And I was able to really see both sides. So I started questioning. I'm not gonna lie. I went straight to one of my mentors who was a multi seven figure mentor who was a mom. And I said, I'm nervous to ask you this because I feel like it exposes some shit in me, but I have this story that all 7 figure moms are shitty moms. Like, I really believe that. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I'm like, I need help understanding what's on the other side of this. And it was the beginning of me starting to understand about quality versus quantity. And I started to explore, and then I did it myself, right? I went to Bali, I did these things, and the massive amount of transformation that happened within my own life and within myself, and the things that began to get shut off and the limitations that were shut off, who I came home as a mom was a completely different woman. The space I could hold for my children, the beliefs I could hold for them, the awareness I could hold for them, it had nothing to do with the money. It had everything to do with my joy, my soul being full, being that level of an example to my children and what was available for them, the difference in lifestyle that we had in their level of confidence in themselves. They became confident. They became their standard became, I get to be happy in life. And I watched that coming alive in them. Sure, they threw a temper tantrum at first. When I first flew off or travel a lot, my daughter would be like, "Oh, you care more about your business than me." She tried good, and you don't think that shit broke my heart? Oh my God, I was dying. I was like, are you sure I'm doing the right thing? Like that shit was hard, but I walked it out and I trusted the process. And really, it was like my body always wins. My brain would freak out and I would feel guilty like a bad mom, but my body was like, this, like, follow your bliss, follow the expansion, follow the exhale, follow the leading and the prompting in your gut instincts. And so everything else was freaking out, but there was this thing inside like, no, you are called to do this. So as I walked it out and got a taste on the other side, I started to
Mm.
build confidence around it. And then that confidence helped me to see it a little bit more clearly. And what I clearly recognized was there is no trading. There's no spending time on my business takes away from my marriage or my children, or spending time, dating takes away from my children, or the pool guys here, or taking away from spending time with my children, which also, let's get really real, people are also feeling guilty spending time
Yes.
with their kids and not working on their business. And here's what I have to say about that. Okay, we're gonna do big girl panties again. Are we ready? I am so right in this one with you guys. Is it really the business that's taking away from our children, or is it the squirreling out, the worrying, the numbing out, the all the other bullshit that we're doing that's taking us away from our business or our children? Like, can we just be a little
Yes.
bit more honest with ourselves? Our children are not taking us away from our business, and our business is not taking us away from our children. There's no such thing as a trade. There's no like amount of blocks, and the blocks are shifting. There's only expanding, and what you gain in one area, wherever you go, there you are. Let's just apply that, for we all know this. So that means if I expanded massively in my business, I'm bringing that to every other area of my life. If I fell in deeply love and connected deeply with my children, I'm bringing that to my clients in every other area of my life. It's like all expands together. It all rises together. It's really not like trading.
I just
It's
freaking
just
love
not that way.
and there's so many comments coming through. I don't know if you can see the comments or not, but this is so good. Oh my God, yes.
I can't.
That resonates so deeply with me because I also have 2 kids under 5. And I do recognize that as well. So I just want to like just quickly talk about this. We take 2 days. So it's Thursdays off, and then Saturday afternoon until Monday morning, I'm offline. So my clients, they know that I'm offline. You know, I'm taking time and I'm really just connecting and not doing what you just said as like squirrel brain and like I should be working on my business and I should be doing this. And it's really helped to gain the perspective. When I am in my business, I'm like, okay, I'm focused on here. And I'm like, you know, I shut the door and I can hear Nick and the kids are knocking on the door. And I'm like, no, wait, I am here and I'm focused. And it does feel really good to be able to do that, even though I don't know, other moms out there, I do feel that guilt come in sometimes still. Like I'm not there yet. It does tear at me.
Yeah, it's incredibly painful. I know. And so here's like my mantra for myself is like, my only job is to love them, right? Like keep them physically safe. And my job is to love them. And if I'm playing with those patterns, if I'm like, my business needs me more and my kids need me more and everybody needs me more, and I'm playing the victim to all this shit, what happens is I lose the ability to love ethically, to love really powerfully. And it's like, okay, what in my life contributes to me being in a state of overflow so I can love really powerfully? Because when they're older, when they're 95, what they're going to remember is the moments when I loved them really big. They're not going to remember like, oh, she was always around. She was kind of crabby and stressed out, but she was always around. Like that's just not what's going to land with them. The moments of the deep connection and the big love that we bring to the table, which here's another moment, like let's lock this in for 1 second. You guys are really incredibly powerful women. You have a big calling in your life or you wouldn't be here. And so can we just be a little bit more honest about what you need in order to feel fully fueled for your life and for your children? And can that be the standard? Like my body sets the standard for what I need to feel like I'm thriving and in a state of overflow and my soul is full. That is the standard. Why would we choose any other standard? Like I know better than the universe. I'm going to play CEO to the universe. Like I don't want that job. I'm going to let my body tell me what it needs, and I'm going to back that, and I'm going to bring everything I have to the table.
Especially like leading with, you know, what does my body need right now, and not allowing our head to talk ourselves out of whatever it is, because that's generally what happens. Our head.
Yep. And you guys are going to need more than a lot of other people. You guys are showing up really big in life. You're playing big. You're playing to win. You're holding space for a lot of people. You're holding space for your family, your children, you know, your husbands, or dating and love and expectations and finances and expanding to that next level. And there's so much you are holding, and like the energy of the entire planet is really with the women. And so it's about acknowledging that and being like, where do these arbitrary I shoulds and these rules and this is what it's supposed to look like? And it's a lot of comparison, a lot of bullshit that never mattered and will not matter to you when you're old, looking back on your life, and the small amount of time that you like, the memories that meant the most to you, right? You know, Steve Jobs with the whole, I think it was Steve Jobs, if I spend more than 24 hours, if I ask myself if I was going to die tomorrow, would I do this today? And and that happens more than 2 times or something like that in 24 hours, then I change what I'm doing. And I'm like, that's a big call to action. And I also feel like we really should lock that into our awareness. Like and let me just tell you, it's not always going to be, I would just spend every second with my children. Like we think that that's what it would be. That is bullshit. That is not, you would leave a legacy on this planet. You would have something to say on the planet to leave because you've done the work and you have the wisdom and you would have something to say to people. And you would want to have left a legacy and left an impact, like you were here and you left your legacy and impact. You didn't hide in a hole in your home and play Monopoly with your children. That shit's not real.
Thank you. It is funny, and you know, as much as, you know, like I said just previously, like there is that guilt there. I mean, I am definitely a mom who does prioritize herself. Like I will prioritize, you know, going to the gym. I will prioritize, you know, things that really do mean something for me, because as you said before, you know, when my cup is full, I'm pouring from overflow for them, for my clients, for my business, for the peeps, for my husband, for everybody. And, you know, some people have said in the past, especially in the last year as things are kind of expanded, people close to us, so family, have said that, you know, I'm being very selfish and that this isn't the way that you raise children. And that's been really hard for me to handle. But I know that if I don't pour into me, I have nothing for them, because kids are demanding. So,
yeah. And so, I mean, people made the same comments to me about being a bad mom and stuff like that. And I heard the chirping. And those same people also came to me as years passed, you know, the next year, the year after, saying like, you've changed my life. Thank you so much. And they've learned and adjusted their own homes and their own lives. And here we go back to this. So this doesn't have to be complicated. I know there's a lot of feelings and emotions around it, and people are going to chirp and people are going to talk and they're going to say what they're going to say. And that is what it is. But if it's not resonating with us, it's not going to land on us. Right. So it really doesn't, they can say what they want. When they trigger us, it's like, okay, sweet. Thank you for pointing out that I was already beating myself up about this, and I'll clean that up. Right. Yes. So it's like, really, you can appreciate when people say things, because otherwise it just doesn't land with you. If someone said that now, I'd be like, okay, you know, like, I see where you're at. That's what I would see. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't actually land with me because I've done this work and cleaned it up. So it goes back to the body always wins.
Yeah.
That is the standard, not what other people say, not what the school system tells us or how the teachers think we should show up if they feel like I'm a bad mom because I'm not at the friggin' PTO meeting. My body tells me. My body, like, oh, those cousins' birthday party, actually, that doesn't feel good. And guess what? No other explanation needed. I'm sorry, that doesn't feel good. Maybe next time. Thanks. Or I'll send a gift in the mail. I do what feels good, what feels right. That is the standard, with no explanation to anybody else. And other people will make comments maybe or do what they're going to do, but they will also start doing and learning from you and start seeing that as an example of how to get joy and overflow in their own life. And guess what? Can we just acknowledge for a second that the way we show up, so if you're showing up in a way that's causing tension or drain or, you know, a lack of joy, even, like, let's just not say it has to be painful. How about just not really being lit the fuck up and thriving? Like, if you're not feeling really lit up and excited about life and loving life, you're teaching that to your children. I don't care what you say to them. They are watching you and they are learning what life means. What does it mean about everybody else? And whose rules am I following? And how expansive can I be? And how happy am I allowed to be? And they are watching, and they will feel, and they will be able to live to the level that you allow yourself to live to the level of. And there's no way around that.
I almost just want to cry, because these look like what you're saying is so truthful and it's so honest and it's so raw. And I think so many women need to hear it.
Yeah, us moms, man, we do need to stick together. And it is a big, like, it was a huge piece for me to understand. And it really, if I'm being really honest, I understood it, but it took doing brave things, like taking the 3-week trip to Bali and watching all of the old religious stuff that was stuck to me, like the scary things that were stuck to me fade away, and the trauma that was starting to be healed, and all of the kind of things that were happening. Like, it took actually having the balls to do it and experience it on the other end to build the confidence in it. So you can understand it conceptually, and you can have a knowledge, and you can start implementing it in some areas and having boundaries, but you're going to need to integrate that into all of your cells and being, and have the full experience of it on the other side. So my deep desire is that women feel and be honest with themselves about what they feel called to, and allow themselves to go through it, even if they're freaking out and feeling like they might be a bad mom and it's going to break their kids, or their kids are throwing temper tantrums, or people are telling them they're bad moms, which may or may not happen. We're not going to plan for that, but if it does happen, so be it, right? So it's like, but really get to the other side of it and have that experience and witness what that does in your children's life when you are truly lit up and expanded. Like, watch what it does for them. Let me just tell you, what someone else says to you when you're watching your kid light up and come to life and start expanding, you're going to laugh. It's going to be...
Erin's saying, again, are we modeling? We are modeling We are modeling. And so what
Yeah.
is it that we are teaching them? Follow your joy or not?
Yes. Why would we not want our children to follow their joy? Because it's scary for us. That's why. Because we want to predict that it's all going to be like, it's funny because when we think about it, it's like the most painful things that we went through made us the strongest, and it's who we are today. But yet we want to take that away from our children. Like, our job is to keep them safe, and our job is to love them really well. And our job is also to let their soul's journey go on their soul's journey, and for us to trust ourselves to be able to
Mm-hmm.
manage the emotions around that. That's all it is. We're afraid to feel something. It's always what it is. We're afraid to feel what it's going to feel like if they
Mm-hmm.
choose something that's painful for them, but that's how they're going to learn and grow too. And for them to manage their own feelings, like if mom is gone, if mom's running an event or retreat, and for me it's like I don't just, there's no like, oh, you just shouldn't feel that way. Like I said, I understand that you feel this way, it makes sense, this is different, this is what mommy's doing. Like, I'm helping these women, these are the kind of things that are going on, this is mommy's intention and purpose to leave in the world, and I love that you're part of this, baby, and you're like, and you're contributing to this by, you know, staying home, and like I know that there's emotions coming up, and that's okay, and you're going to let those emotions pass, and when we come back together, this is what it's going to feel like, and these are the things that mommy's going to be able to understand and know on the other side. And there's a light that just comes on inside of her, because by the way, our children want us to be lit up and happy. They understand that leaving an impact on the world matters. They want to be part of something so incredible. So I share that stuff with my children and let them feel part of the journey,
I
and it
love this.
expands them massively. Yeah, we're definitely letting our children follow their joy, and letting them deal with the emotions that they feel around it, because they're going to feel emotions, and that's okay. That's
No,
not going to hurt.
this
Emotions
is
never hurt
so
anybody.
powerful. I'm so excited that you were wrapping up the summit. Thank you so much. I
Oh,
feel
I'm
like my
so glad it
lighting's really blue,
resonates.
but that's okay. Now, I had a question. Was there some other things that you wanted to teach on today? Or shall I ask a question? Where did you want to take it? All right. I
Yeah,
would
you can
love to
ask anything you'd
ask,
like.
in terms of reaching an upper limit when it comes to your growth and to your expansion, and we start to see ourselves, you know, replaying old behaviors, old patterns, they start to creep back in. And
Mhm.
we start to come up with excuses as to why we can't do it, why we can't do it, even though last month we did it. Or, you know, there are things that are creeping in and we can see it happening. What would you say
Yeah.
to, like, you've maybe moved through it yourself? What is it? What do you do to get through that? Do you push?
Okay. So number one is
Mm.
always have a mentor. Like, you got to have a mentor that's going to call you out on that shit, because you want to nip it in the bud before the cycle has already begun. And now it's like, now you have to get yourself out of the cycle. When you're around a
Mm-hmm.
mentor who's tracking with you, then that stuff doesn't happen, right? Or it happens a lot less frequently, and you have someone calling you out on it and tracking with you. And then they get to know your patterns. They get to predict your behavior, right? And so you get to also talk about that ahead of time to plan to win. But the other piece of it, if it has happened and you've gotten in a cycle of it, it's just about remembering what's actually happening. Like these are very basic questions, like, what was I doing that I'm not doing now? Or what am I doing now that I wasn't doing before when I was winning? What's different, right? Like, before I was doing this and I was winning, and now I'm not doing that thing. Or now I'm doing this thing. Like, I remember when I started watching Dr. Phil, totally cool. I was getting all my stuff done, but I was watching Dr. Phil, and all of a sudden, like, I was not doing good. And I just, like, when I checked into myself, like, what am I doing differently? Because it was working and now it's not. Like, I've gotten myself into some bad patterns. Like, oh, I'm watching Dr. Phil. Oh, interesting. Just the drama and the trauma on Dr. Phil was lowering my vibe big time.
Oh yeah, the kids are about to
No
walk.
worries. You good?
No, the kids are about to walk through
Your
the
phone
door.
dying?
I'm
Oh,
just gonna close the door.
that's okay. We would have
Would
just
have
said
gone
hello.
crazy. So sorry, you were talking about Dr. Phil.
Well, so I just like, by asking myself that question, I recognized that even though it's fine to watch Dr. Phil, for whatever reason, it was really lowering my vibe. Like, I was starting to be like, oh my God, there's so many people in pain and all this stuff is going on, and I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
help these people. And it was just killing my vibe. So I stopped watching Dr. Phil, and my vibe went right back up. So oftentimes it's just checking in, like, hey, common sense. I was doing yoga every day for 2 months, and then I stopped, and now I'm crashing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go back to freaking yoga, right? Like, and or like I was doing meditation, or I was eating well, or I was working out, or I wasn't arguing with my husband, or I wasn't. And sometimes it's really just a call for, like the question I love to ask myself is like, what am I lying about? What am I telling myself a big
Mm-hmm.
bullshit? story about right now? Like, how am I lying to myself? What truth am I not telling myself? What is the thing that's out here on my peripheral that I'm not actually looking dead in the eye? And I do this thing where I'm just like, okay, I have a clear mind and clean energy. I'm safe to look at the thing. I'm going to look at it dead in the eye, and only good things will happen from looking it in the eye and dealing with it and facing it. And then I just tell myself whatever the truth is. Because usually when we're squirreling out, it's because we're avoiding feeling something we don't want to feel, resisting something. What am I resisting? And those questions can be really powerful. And that's also journaling prompts that you can do. Like, what am I resisting? You know, what am I lying to myself about? What bullshit am I spinning right now? Like, and also another one that I really love is like, what am I completely done with? Like, I'm done with this. I'm done, right? Because when we're frustrated or we're getting confused, usually there's something we're doing over and over expecting a different result. Like, so what do I feel like I'm super fed up with, I'm super done with? And what action am I not taking to resolve that? What if I've been avoiding taking to resolve that? But I keep staying in the energy of I'm done with that, I'm done with that, but I'm not actually done with it. I'm not doing anything about it. Is there some action to take to back that as well? So it's just like those touch points with the feeling.
Well, I mean, I know why, but why do you think that women do that? They stay in that cycle of like, I'm done with this, and then they continue to do the thing.
Because we're literally just not sitting our ass down and getting clear about what it is. Like, one of my most powerful woos with my clients is like, how do you feel? Give me one word. I know you want to give me this huge story, but you're not allowed to. Give me one word, please. Right? And so it like forces you to go to the root of like, okay, well, I'm angry. Great. What specifically are you feeling angry about? What are you angry about? And it like just gets right to the heart of things. Right? Let's just deal with the things where it's at. And sometimes it's like, this relationship isn't working for me. And sometimes it's painful. I mean, I asked for a divorce last year, and sometimes it's really big things and telling ourselves a really big truth that we don't want to tell. And other times it's something really little, like, hey girl, that third glass of wine that you had is not working for you. We're done with the third glass of wine. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Or like, hey, Dr. Phil is not really working for you. We're done watching Dr. Phil now. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it can be something really little, and sometimes it's something really big, but it doesn't matter, because no matter what it is, it's about being in integrity with ourselves and looking the thing in the eye. And then you learn the habit of like, it really is safe, and you become so savvy when you just look the thing in the eye. And so you just sit your ass down and stop squirreling out. Like, be disciplined enough to sit down and let yourself have your temper tantrum that you're going to have when you're sitting down, because you just want to go race and do things so you can feel safe. And you sit down and you tune in, or hire someone, or get a coach, or do an energy session, whatever's going to get you to, like, my motto is whatever actually works. So what's not happening is you're not tuning in and being really honest about what's going on and letting yourself feel the thing that you need to feel. Let the feeling pass and feel yourself strengthen on the inside. And then what does the action take to be back in integrity with yourself, in alignment with yourself, and then take that action? And if you have to do that 27 times a day, so be it, because eventually you'll do it once or twice a day. You don't have to do it 27 times a day. But if shit's that crazy, then do it 27 times a day. The work is the work.
I love this. Erin was saying, I think she wanted to clarify a little bit about the comment previously. That's what you are saying. Rather than hold back and not follow our joy because of the guilt that holds us, we can model the way of following our joy. I include my kids now. I explain our vision of how my work will change their lives. They also become a part of my kids' spirituality camp, and I was being called to create. That's amazing, Erin. Yeah.
Yes, girl.
Alrighty.
High five to Erin.
So we have pretty much been going for an hour. Does anyone have any final questions below? Mandy, firstly, like, thank you so much. Secondly, would you like to leave us with anything today? Final thoughts, final words?
You know, what comes to mind for me is we're built to withstand incredible pressure. Like, it's not meant for it to break us or be harsh or hard. We're built to withstand incredible pressure with ease. Like, the foundation that we have in the side as women is incredibly powerful. And the truth be told, most of us just don't understand how much pressure we can easily handle because we're not going there. We're not allowing that to happen. We're not actually backing the things and showing up and you know, allowing ourselves to go to the mentor that scares the shit out of us because we know she's going to call us out on this stuff, or, you know, another behavior is I see people, they just keep taking all these like free trainings and free webinar, and I'm going to keep doing all these other things, and I'm just going to keep doing that instead of getting really clear, like, hey, this is my goal, this is my vision, this is the next step to get me there. I don't know how to do that next step. Great, pull in a resource for that step and focus on that step, and stop squirreling out on these shiny pennies and really get to your goals really fast. So when we can understand, the reason that we avoid doing that is because we're afraid it won't work. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of success, what that's going to look like. We're afraid to disappoint our children or hurt our children or hurt our loved ones. So my thing is, if you can understand that inside, the amount of any amount of pressure that you think that you've held, that is like, this is pretty epic, because I know that feeling, right? We all do. Like, you know what it took to get your ass out of bed in the morning and to show up those times when it was fucking tough, and everything was coming at you and everybody needed you, and you showed up and you cried your tears and you wiped them away and you showed up for your family and your loved ones. And like, we know, like, you know, nobody will ever know everything that you've been through and everything that it took for you to show up and be here today, right? Like, nobody will ever truly know, but you know. But the amount of pressure that you think that you've held, that's like, that was amazing. No, no, no. You are able to hold about 100,000 times that amount of pressure with ease, without freaking out, without feeling like a victim, without being angry, upset, like, just with ease. So if we can understand that we are built to withstand that pressure, it's a whole lot easier to look the thing in the eye, understand the savviness that comes on the other side, and be like, when I look back at the beginning of my business, I thought, this is so hard. But I look now and I'm like, oh, all the things I did then that were hard are like, I don't even think about. They're just so easy now. So the amount of pressure that I've been able to withstand, like, I remember when $3,000 was a big deal. Now it's like 300K feels a little bit like a big deal, right? So it's like the amount of pressure just keeps increasing, and you'd just be so shocked at how much you can handle with ease and still really just be enjoying your life. So like, really just locking that in and knowing that, like, I'm built to withstand pressure with ease. Like, I still get to be happy and enjoy my life no matter what,
Yes,
with ease, no matter
so
how much pressure is on me.
Thank you. Now, I know you wanted to share something with everybody as well. Did you want to share it via a link or let us know what it was?
My team told me you had the link. I might have it actually and copy and paste it. I might have just backed up just in case. You didn't have it.
Does anybody have any final questions for Mandy while I am just checking my email? It's Susan, isn't it? Susan's your VA. I don't have it. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I got it right here. I'm sending it. Yeah, I just pulled it out of I probably just had the funniest look on my face, like,
it's in the comments.
Did you get the link? I can't see on my phone. Okay, yeah, it's a 3-day masterclass. There's so much value in that masterclass, you guys. You'll love it.
Mandy has just offered that to us, guys. The link is in the comments below, so go click and join and watch. Go be a part of that. Thank you so much again. It has been an absolute pleasure to end the summit on this high vibe, and with all the truth bombs you've dropped our way. It's been beautiful. Thank you.
I love you guys. It's my honor. I hope this served you well.
Thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to tag us, share over us on Instagram. And if you guys don't know, we're doing the celebration live tomorrow. So everybody who has tagged and shared, you guys will be going in the draw to win some of the beautiful prizes that are from our sponsors for the event. So thank you so much. Bye.